Hey guys, so today with rounding, you have another paper copy that you're using. It says Friday Math. And I want to talk to you about this because the chart that you have might get a little confusing. What you're doing today is you're going to have a number, and your job is going to be to round it to the nearest 10 and to the nearest 100. So, let's talk about rounding those numbers that are more challenging to the nearest 10. Let's use a 3-digit number and practice rounding it to the nearest 100 first, and then we'll round it to the nearest 10. So let's say our special number is 263. If I am rounding this number to the nearest 100, then I'm going to focus on the hundreds. So if I look at the hundreds, it's of 200. That means that if I'm drawing a mountain, it starts at 200 and it ends at 300 because my special number 263 comes between 200 and 300. The middle is 250. Once I've set up my mountain or a line, because if you set up a line, you can draw it vertically or horizontally, vertically, and you can give these 3 landmark spots before you label it. The number line at the bottom of this screen has more numbers. You don't have to have all those numbers. Once I'm ready and I have it set up, I can put my number on the mountain or the line. So 263 would come on this side of the mountain, which means if I am rounding 263 to the nearest 100, it would be 300. It is closer to 300. But I can also round this number, this special number, to the nearest 10. Let's do that. So, if I am rounding it to the nearest 10, I have to pay attention to the hundreds and the tens. That means that I'm focusing on this part right there, which is 260. Since my number begins with 260, that is where my mountain will begin, or your line can begin. If I was counting by tens, because I'm rounding to the nearest 10, the other side of my mountain is 270. You can see that this mountain is a tens mountain because from 260 to 270 is 10. The next step that's also helpful is to find the middle. The middle between 10 is 5 because 5 plus 5 is 10. That means that the top of my mountain is 265. 60, 65, 70. Hopefully that makes sense. The last step is then to put this number on the mountain. So it's on this side of the mountain because 263 comes before you get to 265. So this time I'm circling this number, this side of the mountain, 260. So this is what we just figured out. We figured out that 263, our special number, when we round it to the nearest 100, it was 300. But if we round it to the nearest 10, it's 260. So on your chart today, you actually will be doing extra steps because each of your numbers, I'm actually going to make myself larger. Each of your numbers on your chart, you have to think about how to round it to the nearest 10, and then how to round it to the nearest 100. I did put a place down here for working, so you would have all these different mountains drawn, or you could use the back of your paper, but your job is to round each of these numbers to the nearest 10 and to the nearest 100. I will give you a warning and a heads up that rounding it to the nearest 100 is probably easier for most of you, except for these two numbers here. These two numbers don't have any hundreds, so those are gonna make you think. I am gonna tell you, if you're watching this video, which I'm glad you are, that if you round to the nearest 100, the answer could be 0, because 0 to 100 is one type of mountain you could draw. So be very careful. This might get very confusing for you because we haven't done this together in class. You're using a video of me and you're trying your best, but we will practice this more at school next week when you're here, and I'm just hoping that you can take your time and try and show your work. That's the best way to do it.